It means a lot to me that people were willing to make the journey down that gravel road and come all the way out to the farm for this announcement, and then for all of you who are watching this live streamed wherever you are in the state, watching it on Facebook or elsewhere. I want to tell you just a little bit about where we are. We're actually in the haymow of the barn on the farm where I grew up. And you know, one of the last times I was in this spot, the barn was full of hay at the time, and there was an opening right over there that I was throwing hay bales down, and I hit some loose hay, and my feet went out from under me, and I fell about 8 to 10 feet and landed flat on my back on the cement floor right in front of the cows, which scared the daylights out of them. I was jolted, and then I thought, you know what, I think I'm completely unhurt. I don't think anything's broken, I think I'm fine. But I want to tell you, all the people who are sitting over there, just watch your step. Because I can speak from experience. There's, you know, I don't think it's open anymore, but I experienced that myself. I grew up here. This is the place where I learned about life. This is the place where I got my political values. This is the place where I became the person I am. And it's the reason I'm here today. And I'll get this out of the way right now. I'm running for governor. Woo! It feels totally natural. It feels like I'm at home being in this place. Standing in front of this tractor that I actually drove as a kid and as a teenager. We owned this tractor originally, passed it on to the Dorico family when they bought the farm. They painted it a different color, but it's the same tractor. And I feel like I'm at home, but I have to tell you, I never imagined that I would return to this place to do this. But here I am, and I'm here, I think, for an important and pretty obvious reason. Our state is in trouble. Our country is in trouble. I think people feel it. Everywhere I go, I talk to people who say, you know what, I'm having a hard time recognizing Wisconsin as the place where I grew up. It has changed so much. We've lost our way. The state is becoming a shadow of its former self. They all have their way of expressing it, but they are unnerved and they're on edge about where we're at. And so much of it traces to the feeling that they've got that we have a government that isn't working for us. We have a government that is catering to a wealthy and well-connected and privileged few, but is ignoring the needs and the concerns and the challenges of people living in so many places around the state. And so it was no small ask for me to ask all of you to make the journey all the way out to the farm to hear me announce that I'm running for governor. Just as this morning, it was no small ask for me to ask reporters and media organizations to make this long journey because they're used to politicians coming to them. They're used to events being held in places in the major media markets. I came here for a reason. I came here because this is home. This is where I'm from. But I also came here precisely because so few people running for office, so few people wishing to represent the people will come to places like this. So few people who aim to be representatives of the people will take the time to drive down a gravel road and hold a meeting in a barn and listen to people and reach out to people in the forgotten places in our state. That's part of what has to stop. That's part of what has to end. If we're going to have true representatives of the people, they have to go where the people live. They have to go to the back alleys in the big cities and the back roads out in the country. They have to go and seek to represent the interests of people who are struggling in places that have been written off. And That's why I came here. That's why I'm standing behind this tractor I drove all those years ago. The place where I stand, right below here, is where the cows were, where I milked with my father. This is a special place to me. But I think it's a special place in Wisconsin. And it's unfortunate that so many people who control things at the Capitol have decided that this is not an important place to be. And they think that places like this can be written off. And I reject that thinking. And that's part of the new politics that we need. That's part of the different kind of leadership that we need. So I'm running for governor for one reason and one reason only. I'm running because our society has been made more and more elitist and more divided than it's been at any time in my lifetime. We've been divided into royals and commoners. There are those who make the huge political donations and hold the $1,000 a plate fundraising dinners and who have lobbyists working on their behalf in the state capitol. People who live in places like this, they have the common sense to know that there ain't no plate of food that ever has been worth $1,000. And they don't have any lobbyists working for them at the Capitol, and they don't write $20,000 checks and hand it to some candidate for office. And I can legally now take that check, $20,000 I could legally accept from an individual. But what I know, based on my experience, is that those kinds of donations come with strings attached. That nobody writes a check and hands it to a candidate for office for that kind of money without expecting something in return. And what I also know, based on my decades of experience, is that they get a handsome return on that investment. They give huge sums of money, but they give huger sums of money in return. They are showered with tax breaks and state subsidies. It all goes to a few. It enriches a few with the hope that some of what they are given might trickle down to the rest of us. It's never been more than a trickle. We've got to do an about face in this state in so many ways. We've got to do an about face in the state about how we approach politics. But we've got to do an about face about the way we seek to build a sturdy economy. A sturdy economy is not built from the top down. It's not built by enriching a few and hoping that they work some magic for the rest of us. It's built from the bottom up. It's built by investing in 5 million people who call Wisconsin home, who are rooted here, rooted in places like this, who work in places like this barn. We have to invest in empowering 5 million people in the state so that they can do more for themselves and for each other, rather than giving to a few in hopes that some of what they are given might make its way to the rest of us. It hasn't. We are now a state that is leading the nation in shrinkage of the middle class. We are a state that is dead last in new business startups 3 years running. We're a state that is now 49th in internet speed. By one measure, we've got the 4th worst roads in the country. By another measure, we're 49th out of 50 states in road quality. We're a state that's watching what had been one of the best systems of education you would find anywhere in the country. We're watching that system slide toward mediocrity. And we're watching young people priced out of the opportunity to get the education that can give them the path to the American dream that they want. Buried under a mountain of college debt. And think about what that does to the economy. They come out of school with $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 in debt. When are they going to put a down payment down on a house? When are they going to buy a new car? And what does that do to the home builders and the realtors and the car manufacturers and the auto dealers? What does that do to their business when we've got young people who can't think about making those purchases for years, if not decades? We have to commit ourselves to being a state where nobody, anywhere, thinks about turning on a water faucet and being afraid of drinking what comes out. We've got to be a state where no community anywhere thinks of digging up pavement and putting down gravel because they can't afford to maintain the roads, they can't afford to fill those potholes. Yes, we need to be a state that sets as its goal being the first state in the nation to be fully powered by renewable energy. Now, I don't know when that's going to happen, but you know some state is going to get there. I don't know what year, I don't know how long it will be, but you know some state someday will be the first to be able to claim to be 100% powered by renewable energy. It should be Wisconsin's goal to be that state. And we'll never get there unless we make that our goal, unless we set the bar that high. We have been victims of small thinking for too long. We've been afraid to think big in Wisconsin for too long. And I think so much of that has to do with the fact that those who are supposed to be representing us are so darn busy paying back favors from the wealthy donors who put them in office. And all of this traces back to a central problem. And that's the corruption of our political system, the poisoning of our political culture. We have to do something about that to make it possible. We have to combat that in order for it to be possible for Wisconsin to become a state that leads the nation in growth of the middle class, that leads the nation in new business startups, that is leading the nation in internet speed, and that brings high-speed internet to every single doorstep, every single nook and cranny of our state. We need to combat the corruption of our political system in order for our state to be a place where nobody will turn on a water faucet and be afraid to drink what comes out, where no community will have to face the excruciating decision of closing a local school. You heard two people tonight, one a Republican, one a Democrat, one conservative, one liberal, who found common cause in trying to save the school in Dorchester, right on down the road. People understand that how important it is for a local community to have that local school. It's the lifeblood of a community. You take that school away and that community starts to die. Because unlike in the cities, where not everybody goes to the high school football game or the basketball game or the school play. You come to a small town, the whole community shows up. I went to Owen Whitney High School, and swear to God, when we would have a high school basketball game, the whole community was stuffed in the gym. And when you take that away from a local community, that community starts to die. We have to make it our goal in Wisconsin that no community anywhere will close down a local school. And that means making our public schools a priority again. But all of this is conditioned on us challenging the corrupt political system that we have. And when I say that, there are all these people in the state capitol who cringe. There are all these people in the state capitol who will belittle me and run me down because I am willing to come out and say that we have a political system that is corrupt and is not working for all of the people, that we need to shake up that system and transform it. I'll tell you this, there will be a lot of candidates for governor. The field will be large. And the people who are lining up to run for this office are all accomplished people. They are an impressive group. And you know, they come from very different backgrounds. They're very different people. But they are very accomplished people. But it strikes me that they do have one thing in common. All of them seem very comfortable operating within the political system as it currently functions. They seem to be at peace with the political culture as it is. And I am not. That system is failing us. we have to shake it up and transform it, and that's why I'm running for governor. And yes, when I say that, I will be run down and I will be belittled. But I ask you this: when I am belittled and when I am run down, I want you to know I can take it. My hide is thick, I can take it. And I ask you this: I will need you to come to my defense. When they attack me, I will need you to come to my defense. But I ask you this: when you do not do what they do. Do not run down and belittle my opponents. Instead, when they seek to belittle and run down, you have to remain focused. You have to remain focused on what Wisconsin has the potential to become, what we are for, and what we can be, and how we can get there. So I know the temptation will be great. When you hear people attack me, you will want to attack back. I plead with you, do not succumb to that temptation. Instead, dream, aspire, imagine, think about what Wisconsin has the potential to become and how we get there. And then I ask you another thing. You're going to hear a lot of talk about money in this race. And they're going to say, well, how can he possibly raise enough to compete in an election for governor if he's only willing to take a donation of no more than $200 from an individual? I only say this to you. If big money rules, some candidate is going to win. And it's probably not going to be me. If big money rules, some candidate is going to win, but the people will lose. You will lose. That's what we have to keep in mind, is that we have been fighting a losing battle to the extent that we've bought into that system, bought into that understanding, that that's the only way we can operate, that's the only way politics can be practiced. When we succumb to that thinking, we lose. Because who wins will end up being someone who will continue to cater to those wealthy and privileged interests. They will continue to do their bidding. They will continue to give them all the benefits and tax breaks and state subsidies. And it will all be done at your expense. We have to have the courage and the tenacity to break that mold, to challenge that crooked system. And I have a secret for you. Yes, this campaign is going to have to be crowdfunded. It is going to have to be a whole bunch of people willing to give very small amounts of money to combat those who can write those massive checks that are legal bribes. People are going to have to go to governorbluejeans.com and they're going to have to make their small donation. They're going to have to encourage other people to do it as well. They're going to have to send in checks. They're going to have to hold small events and house parties. Yes, we're going to have to raise some money. But we're also going to have to put to use other forms of political capital, other forms of currency that all the political insiders have forgotten about for years. Organized people is a powerful form of political currency. This campaign will not only have to be crowdfunded, it will have to be people-powered. People will have to be willing to give of themselves, give of their time. And the other thing that people forget is there is another powerful political currency, and that is provocative ideas. And that is why it is so poisonous to succumb to that temptation to respond to personal attacks with personal attacks. Because it takes us away from the job of describing to the people of Wisconsin what this state has the potential to become and how we realize that potential. And so, as we go on from this day, which is day one of this campaign, all the way to the end of this election, my goal is going to be pretty simple. I told you why I'm running. I told you that I'm running so that we could have a government that works at least as well for the commoners as it does for the political royals. But I have a goal about this election, about how we get to a place where we can have such a government. My goal, and I hope it'll be your goal too, is to give the voters of Wisconsin a rare chance. A chance to actually feel good about voting for a change. In fact, it is my goal to give voters an opportunity to be absolutely thrilled to cast a ballot. Heaven knows that there are so many among us, so many neighbors and friends and family members and co-workers who have felt doomed in so many elections to holding their noses and choosing between what they regard as the lesser of evils. It should be our campaign's goal to give them that rare opportunity to throw away that feeling and to be absolutely thrilled to cast a ballot. We have to make this campaign have a spirit that is worthy of that goal. We have to make this a campaign that lives in living rooms and at kitchen tables. There ain't going to be any central headquarters to this campaign. It's going to be headquartered in living rooms and at kitchen tables all across the state. And so, I just thank you again for coming out to the barn. I thank all of you who are watching this by live stream for gathering in those living rooms and at those kitchen tables and giving me a chance to reach out to you as well. Same old is not going to cut it. The way politics has been working for decades is not going to get us to the place where we want Wisconsin to go. This is no time for same old. This is a time for us to imagine a better politics, a better, more honorable political system. It is our time to think about what Wisconsin can be and how we get there. And I just ask you to join me on this adventure. It is going to be a hell of a journey. I know I'm going to enjoy the heck out of this from day one to all the way to election day. And I hope you'll enjoy it too. We have to focus on what we love, not what we hate. We have to focus on what we're for, not what we're against. And if we do that, I think we will give the people of Wisconsin a great gift, a great opportunity that they haven't been given in a very long time. Thank you so much.